What is going on, baseball fans? Welcome to episode 26 of Baseball as Intended, the podcast where me, Yeyo, your host, alongside my good friend Jon, my co-host, are going to be talking baseball as it was intended. There's a lot going on. We haven't been here. I was on the IL last weekend, so we didn't have an episode last weekend. But we're back.
You were dying.
Well, I was in Miami, number one, and then came back from Miami, and I'm still kind of. I got my halls somewhere here, so I might just shoot one up in a little bit, but I'm feeling better. Thank you for asking. How are you doing?
I'm good. Today almost didn't happen. Yeyo lost
I don't want to.
major power 10 minutes before the episode and was
Annoyed.
he was concerned. It's very hot. It's been hot here, muggy. How concerned were you about spending the night with no AC?
I was very upset, very annoyed. I was telling my wife, don't even talk to me. Like, I can't even be around myself right now. So don't even, just leave me alone. I'm just going to try to move as least as I can because I know I'm going to get hot. I'm a very hot natured person.
You texted me 5 minutes after you lost power and you said, I'm starting to sweat.
Instantly.
That was all mental. That was all mental.
I mean, I lost power like at 6 and it was 85 degrees out. That's hot.
All right. Power's back.
Power's back, though. We're back. So if, there's still thunder, lightning. If for some reason you see a little bit of a change of shirts in the middle of a episode, it's because we lost power again. So, FYI. How you been, though?
It won't happen.
It won't.
I'm good, man.
You're good? You
I'm
ready
excited.
to do this?
Always ready. Let's do it.
All right, so we got some topics that we're going to be talking about today. Obviously, we're going to go around the league. There's some things that we really want to talk about, especially the AL West. That's why we're calling this episode Wow Wow West, because it was only a matter of time, and it's here. We're going to be talking about Ohtani. He's basically done pitching for the year. We'll talk about that. Mookie returned to Boston, made me very happy and sad. We'll talk about that. In Start Bench Cut, we got a little bit of a... Today, something happened with Miguel Cabrera and Verlander. He's in his last year. Miggy is. They were shown no respect, and people forget how good Miggy was. So, Start Bench Cut is going to be the best right-handed hitters, basically, of this last generation. Start Bench Cut, Pujols, Manny Ramirez, and Miguel Cabrera. That's going to be a good one.
I don't know that we'll agree on that.
It's very close.
It's very tough.
I started looking at the numbers a little. I'm like, oh, my God, it's closer than what I really thought. But... I think I got my order. I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. Around the league. Breaking news. Strasburg officially retired. I know we talked about it. It was a few episodes back.
We called this one, right? This was, like beginning of the year.
Yeah. So, he had a good career. He has a lot of money. There was no need. He kind of kept trying to come back. It just wasn't happening. So if he officially retired, he's getting paid, though. He's on the books, I think, until 2029 for another 5 or 6 years. A lot of money. The Nats are going to have to pay him. I don't know how that's going to work out. I don't know if that means that they're going to be in rebuilding mode for the next few years. But he did officially retire for whoever is following that case.
So can I say two things about this? One, we said he kind of never lived up to the hype because of the injuries. But he also had, he can look back at it, and Nationals fans can look back at it and say, we were a new organization. We got Steven Strasburg. He led us to a World Series because he had a big part in that. So you have that comfort where, it wasn't a failure. You had great moments. It just wasn't as many as you wanted. How are they stuck paying him if he retired? You told me this before the episode. My mind was the Nats must be so happy they don't have to pay this contract. And I looked, and Boris put it in. The guy's an animal. Genius. He put it in the contract that if he had to retire due to an arm injury, he would still get paid. If I'm the Nationals, I hate this. If you want to get paid, you go out and pitch rookie ball games for the next 7 years in front of 30 fans, throw 80 miles an hour. I know that's I come across very bad there.
Yeah.
But you got to do something. You better be sitting there teaching these young guys how to pitch. We're paying you so much.
At least pitching coach.
Something. Yeah, something. Morale booster, something.
So we know Scott Boras is an animal. The fact that he put that, it feels like he knew it was happening because Steven Strasburg is somebody that dealt with a lot of injuries before the World Series run, but he went off during that World Series run. And then he never pitched again, basically. He earned that contract that big contract. He earned it by performing when it
Yeah,
mattered
this
the
is
most.
like back pay. He's getting back pay.
Literally. So, I mean, it is what it is. You signed both sides signed this contract. They're stuck, and that's like you're paying a all-star caliber player every year, and he won't even be there. So I don't know what that means for them, but
like I would understand if there was some sort of like if he retires due to this, he gets paid out 40 million, and then the contract
kind of like a buyout.
But like you just got to keep pay. Like, was every team gonna agree to this, or were the not? I'm blown away by this. I really am, because like he retired complete. It's not even like, yeah, I'm gonna be rehabbing for the next 5 years, pretending to get back. And
I think they usually have some sort of insurance in these contracts. This one didn't. Somebody that has that injury history is the one that should have this insurance things. But I mean, we're just two dudes talking baseball. I don't know.
Apparently everyone knew he was going to get injured. Like the insurance companies were like, no. Boris was like, he's going to get hurt. And the Nationals were like, where do we sign? Like, we love you.
Yeah. So it's
hey, good career for him.
He's got a
great couple of years ahead of him. I mean,
he got nothing to do making $30+ million a year, which is, I mean, I'm sure from his competitive side, that's not what he wanted, but he'll take it. I know I would take it, you know.
It makes it a little easier to deal with.
It does make it a little bit easier. Anything, I mean, as far as the standings itself, not much has changed. Minnesota is now extended the league to 6 in the AL Central. But another crazy thing, the Dodgers are now up 12. All of a sudden, they were third place like a month ago. All of a sudden, now they're first place, 12 games ahead of Arizona, 14 of San Francisco. But the wild west of the American League, Texas have been in first place basically all year. Seattle has not been in first place for a single day until today. They're one game ahead of Texas. They've won 9 of their last 10, where Texas have lost 9 of their last 10. Houston is still hanging around with a 74-58 record. They're tied for second there with Texas, but Julio Rodriguez had an amazing run. Seattle had an amazing run, and oh my God. And we've talked about Julio saying like, oh, a little bit of a sophomore slump or whatnot, but not anymore. And
he's out. Home run derby.
Seattle's here.
Gets you every time.
It either fixes your swing or it ruins it. So if you need to fix it, you go. If your swing is good, maybe you don't risk it. He did, and it worked out. I mean, he's insane right now.
This division is sick right now because all the teams are good. Yeah. Like all the teams are legit good. Astros and Rangers are tied 74-58, 73-57. So they're even in the standings. The Mariners are 1 game up. So they're all good. It's not like some other divisions where you're like, oh, we hang around 500 ball and see if we can, sneak in. They're all good. I have not been a believer in the Mariners this year from the beginning. I thought they would take a step back. I felt confident about that all year till this 9-1 run. And then on the flip side, the Rangers, you talk about letting it slip away, and you knew this was coming. You knew they were going to get hot. The Astros got hot. The Rangers always did what they had to do. They kept winning, but they finally hit this 1-9 stretch, and it's late in the year, and you're thinking, is this whole year for nothing? You went out and got Max Scherzer. Your offense has been killing it all year. You're about to be on the outside looking in at the playoffs. That's going to sting if it ends that way.
Yeah, and I think it's like you said, we knew it was going to happen. But it's also, when you go 1-9, everybody goes through ups and downs. But they're going through their worst down of the year at the same time Seattle is going through their highest of ups. So I think that's where everything happened. Julio Rodriguez, some numbers. Second half, 348 batting average, 410 on base, 590 slugging with 1,000 OPS, 9 home runs, 13 RBIs, or 33 RBIs, 13 stolen bases. In August alone, 406 average, 1.113 OPS with 5 home runs and 25. Like, he's insane, like you said, carrying the team.
That's an MVP second half. Like, that's a completely different player. That's like if they went out and got him at the trade deadline.
It fixes his entire
completely different player.
I mean, it fixes his entire season, right? Like a month like that can fix your entire season. That's exactly what's happening with him. And it's just exactly what's happening with Seattle, right? Like, we were thinking like, well, they have a chance at that wild card. They're still within a 3-4 games. Now they got the division lead. And the way they're playing, obviously there's still plenty of baseball left. But the way they're playing right now, this is when you want to get hot, right? Like late August, September. You want to be hot going into October. We've always said kind of like the hottest and healthiest teams are the ones
Yeah.
that end up winning the whole thing. And they're clicking at the perfect
Because
time.
you're right. How far removed do we feel from when the Rangers were dominating? Like wins technically matter at the same point of every year. It's such a weird concept in baseball. Like those wins the Rangers had in April matter just as much, but it sure doesn't feel like it right now. Like it does not, because like you said, if they just go 5-5 in their last 10 or 4-6, they're still in first place. And you're like,
By 2 and
the
3
Mariners
games.
are hot, but still,
Yeah.
like it's okay. That's going to be interesting.
How do you see
That's
this
going to
playing
be
out?
interesting.
How do you see this playing out? Right now, we always talked about Houston being the one that's going to battle and kind of maybe take over Texas.
Right.
But now it's a 3-team race, full 3-team race. What do you see this playing out? Last time you told me about the NL wildcard, you said that was going to, or basically the entire playoff thing, you said it was going to be how it was a couple of weeks ago.
I have not
You've
been,
never
I could
been-
not be more wrong. If we look at the
Yeah,
wild card standings,
everything changed.
yeah. I said I'm so confident that Toronto and Texas are both going to be in. Toronto's now 2.5 games back. In the National League, I said San Francisco and Miami are going to hang on. They're now two back and 3 back. So I'm going to stick with it with 0. I mean, I can't just change my pick. I'm going to say this is just a lot of baseball left, but boy, do I feel stupid.
Who do you got winning the AL West?
I'll go with the Rangers. Only because I don't think they're bad. So, and I don't think you think they're 1-9 bad either. So, if I'm trying to make a case for the Rangers, I'll say this is their worst stretch of the year. They are 1 game back. They've played well all year, and I expect them to just do it. I mean, they have an offense that can put up runs. They've been doing it all year, and I'll just tell myself that they're going to do it. I do think that's the case, but a lot less confident than I was.
And I think it's one of those things where Houston have not had that 9-1 run like Seattle is having and Texas had. I don't think they've had like a hot streak this out of control, especially with the other teams kind of struggling. I don't know if it's gonna happen right now. Right, I would probably have to go with Seattle the way that they're playing. Like it's tough to go from this high to just flat out sucking, kind of like what Texas did. But it's tough. It's a tough thing to do, right? So right now, I mean, again, Seattle is leading the division. I still think Houston somehow. I don't know why.
But they still haven't done it, right? Which is weird.
But
Like
that's
they
the thing.
still have it,
And they're only 1 game
and they're
back.
there. Right.
They're only 1 game back.
But they have to go on that run, kind of that Seattle went on, and then you'll be like, this is what we've been waiting.
If they
for.
go,
But
if they
very
go like
interesting.
if they go on like 8-2 in 10 game stretch or 9-1, and the others go 5-5, 4-6, it's very close between all three. So
Honest division right now to watch.
yeah. Because in that same division, we got to talk about Ohtani. So the Angels are 11.5 back. They're obviously not mathematically done, but they are done.
No, they're done.
Especially with the bad news that they got of Shohei Ohtani. He will not pitch again this year. And wow. Like we were talking about, he was getting for sure $500 million in the free agency, off season. Maybe even 600. There were talks. He's had literally the best 3-year stretch in baseball history. And we're taking into account Barry Bonds, right?
Yes.
We've never seen anything like this, right? He was going to be worth $500+ million. Now, second main injury on the pitching side of things. The reason why it's been one of the best stretches or the best stretch in baseball history is because of the dual threat, right? Like what he's doing at the plate and on the mound. You eliminate the mound part of it. You have a very good hitter, but not a $500 million player, right? Like this cost him at least $100 million. It's not cost him as he did it on purpose, but it cost him $100 million. And what I think is weird is the reports coming out. He's for sure not going to back to the LA. I don't know if you saw the reports came out. The reports came out, and there's some drama there, right? Somebody snitched on Ohtani. Ohtani, they told him go get an MRI. Apparently, he said no, and somebody snitched and said he didn't want to get an MRI. Baseball players do this all the time. His manager said when I played, they wanted me to do MRI. Nah, I'll play like this. That's what Ohtani did, and now he can't pitch. So, but those things don't come out. those things just stay within the
In-house.
clubhouse, right? So the fact that it came out, I'm sure Ohtani doesn't like that. He's gonna still play and hit because he knows. I mean, obviously he likes to play. He knows that this is a contract year. He might not be like if he waits.
Doesn't really have to though, right? Like he's proven.
That's what I'm saying. But if you do need surgery and you keep postponing it, that means you might not pitch next year. And you might have to do a whole Bryce Harper
not
just playing
pitching
DH,
next year.
right? So
yeah, he's not pitching next year.
So what does that mean? He's gonna lose a lot of money or lose out on a lot of money too. But I mean, I don't know. I want to see him back doing both things. The money aside, I want to see him do both things. But I don't know. I think it's very unfortunate.
Yeah, no, I mean, the best player in the game right now. You don't want to see him get hurt, especially when we're trying to see where he's going to land, next offseason. I'm conflicted on how I feel about this. On one hand, I think he has to lose a lot of money from this, right? He's lost a huge part of his value. And then on the other hand, I think he's one of the few baseball player superstars that can make you a ton of money from attendance, from jersey sales, from, all these other ways that teams make money. He makes more for a team than anyone else that way. And I wonder if some teams will be willing to. He still lost something. Don't get me wrong. He had to have lost some monetary value. But I wonder if he makes up for that with people saying we still want Ohtani on our organization. As far as on the field, he helps. And then also, off the field, he helps. So I don't know. I think he's probably not 500 million. I think he's over 400 million. I still do. But one thing that you said that I don't know if I agree with, I think this gives the Angels a little bit of a chance better than they had to bring him back. Call me crazy because I know what you're saying about the Okay, you're saying the MRI. That I don't blame him. I don't blame anyone. They said it was a cramp. He thought it was a cramp. It might have been a cramp. We don't know. No one knows that he was pitching with a tear or anything like that. But maybe other teams are a little bit more hesitant now to give him all that money, and the Angels can swoop in and say, we'll give you basically what you were going to get. Like, this is our only chance to do it. You've been here for a long time. You've done good things for the organization, blah, blah, blah. Maybe they have a chance to do that when other teams wouldn't be. That's just something in the back of my mind tells me, I think if I had to guess, I think their chances of re-signing him went up just a little bit.
So my thing is, because the price went down, that means maybe more teams are going to be willing to come in and like, hey, I wasn't able to afford 500 and 600. I can throw in 350 and 400, which is kind of like, and obviously we have no idea where
those
go.
Teams.
I mean, maybe he really wants out, right? Like, because I think he's made it very, he's been very straightforward as far as like he wants to play in a winning franchise. It's not the Angels. It's just not. So if they give him the money, it's not gonna happen. Look at the division. Seattle is very good, and it looks like they're gonna be very good for years. Texas in a very good spot. Looks like they might be good for a few years. Houston is Houston. Where are they really gonna win? They're not. So maybe he's looking at like, what are my other options? I want to win. I'm gonna get paid regardless, right? He makes more money being outside of California with the tax situation. So why not just move? I can see him move now. I don't know.
Conflicted.
I don't know how the loyal aspect, the loyal
plays
side
in.
of things. Yeah, like is he wanna like, hey, they are the ones that signed me. I wanna. He's never. I mean, we don't know, but he's never said anything like, I want to retire an Angel, right? So
yeah, true.
We don't know how he thinks when it comes to that.
No, you're right. That's something that I think you need to know the player. We don't know. Yeah. He might be so happy in Los Angeles. He just wishes that they were.
We would never know.
He might just wish they were a little bit better. He might absolutely love it, or he might be sick of it. You're 100% right. We don't know. I think this is a tough one to pin down. It's a tough one because there's so many things. We've talked even about being on the West Coast versus being on the East Coast as far as family and traveling and all that. How much does that factor in for him? We don't know. Maybe it's 1%. Maybe it's 50%.
Yeah. So he's 29 years old.
That's going to be a huge storyline. But two Tommy Johns coming up. This is going to be the second one.
He's 29 years old. What contract are you giving him?
I mean, I can't even say a logical contract because you
yeah.
have to overpay for these guys, right?
Yeah.
If you want them, you have to. So he's getting something that takes him till he's 40, right? And
Yeah.
I think it's 10, 11 years, 420.
Something like that.
Is that a crazy number?
No, no, I
I mean,
think
it is a crazy number,
I
but
mean,
it's
yeah,
realistic, right?
it's not crazy when we were talking about almost 600 a couple weeks ago, right? So that's
Right.
why it doesn't seem crazy, but yeah, I don't know. It's very interesting. I think when you get Ohtani, you want both sides of Ohtani, and I don't know if you're gonna get him. We knew obviously the pitching's it's too much on a body. It's too much on a body. I know he's a robot or whatnot, but it's too much on a body. And but you would rather have the hitting Ohtani than the pitching one, right? Somebody that can play
Yeah.
out every day
I
and
think
whatnot.
that's
So
the better version of him. But yeah, it depends how much you give him because the pitching, we know now guys can come back from Tommy John. It's almost not a question. Two Tommy Johns, we don't know quite as much. I mean,
find
guys
out.
have had it, but you have two. That's trauma on your elbow. And they said, this was a different part of the elbow. Okay, we'll
They're
see. But
trying to
yeah,
stay positive out there in LA. I like it. I
yeah,
appreciate it.
it's a shame, but it's very interesting as well.
Yeah. Something very interesting was Mookie's return to Boston, which everybody knew he was getting a standing ovation. He was, I
Yes.
mean, he was a legend in Boston. He was part of the 2018 championship team. He did a lot. He won some Gold Gloves. He won an MVP in Boston. But for the
Don't
first
cry.
time, I'm sad. I'm actually, I'll blame the sickness, but I'm actually kind of sad. For the first time since 2019, since he signed in LA or 2020, I guess, he went back to Boston for the weekend series. So, cool moment. But not only that, he went back to Boston in what is the hottest streak in Mookie's probably career. Like the month that he's having, the month of August is the best month ever. And we've talked about the NL race multiple times, right? Multiple episodes. We talked about, I think last time we still had Acuna leading. Not anymore. Like, and we talked about earlier how Julio,
And
like a
Acuna's
month,
done nothing wrong
is
either.
not. It's not your fault, Acuna. It's not your fault.
Yeah.
Remember that? Oh, not your fault, San Francisco. It's not your fault, Acuna. It's just that Mookie. He's hitting 457 in the month of August with 7 home runs, 22 RBI. 457. Like, it's
absurd.
actually insane. So if we look at the side by side numbers, WAR, which is basically the most important thing, which you don't
In the
really
world,
like
we
it,
both
but
agree on that. Yeah.
7.1 for Mookie, 6.4 for Acuna, still close. Acuna leads Mookie in games played, plate appearances, and hits. Mookie has the leading home runs, RBIs, slugging, on base, and OPS plus, while Acuna leads in stolen base, batting average, and on base percentage. So it's very close. It's still very close.
Yeah, you pick kind of what you value most.
So,
But Mookie propelled himself because we did start bench cut on this recently, right? Or we talked about the race, and we talked mainly about. I was on the Matt Olson bandwagon, who has not done much since I spoke with him about
you've
him.
been ruining people's
As per
lives.
usual, yeah, I'm ruining careers here. But mainly that one, you mentioned Freeman quite a bit. I was talking about Matt Olson, and obviously we had Acuna in that conversation. And I think you mentioned Mookie a little bit, but we had him basically like a distant third, fourth, and 1 month. Like, it shows how much we can say we're getting towards the end of the year, all that. But 1 month, things change. Division leads change, wild cards change, MVP frontrunners change, and Mookie got hot. And maybe it's a little bit of the recent memory, because again, if he'd done this in April and Acuna was having the month of his career, maybe it's different. But the fact is, Mookie's hot right now. You talk a little bit about the storyline. He did it in Boston. It gives you even more attention because it was his homecoming, so it's all over the news. And
The Dodgers are
right
running
now.
with-
He's still the Dodgers have run away. With
Yeah.
it.
So yeah,
We
that
haven't
matters.
even talked about that division because in the last 3 weeks they completely ran away with it. But that was forgetting his
Expected.
stats and everything. That was really cool. That was really cool.
Yeah.
Him in Boston, because it had also been a long time. A lot of times these trades or free agent things happen, and the next year, first month of the season, they're there. It's been a long time coming. And
Yeah,
like you said, we knew he was getting an ovation. I mean, he's beloved in Boston. So
and there was one play I don't know what he went for the series, but he had a couple home runs, a double, whatever. Devers robbed him from a base hit, a diving play to his left, threw him out at first, which got me thinking. Like Boston paid, they got to a point around that after the World Series run where they didn't want to pay people, right? Kimbrel still had, gas left in the tank. We're talking about 5 years ago. Look at him now. It was an all-star this year. He still had. They didn't want to sign him. They didn't want to sign Mookie. They went into they are a big market team, and they've always spent money. And they started. Team. Yeah, but that was after the World Series, right? And I think Mookie was one of those guys where you had to sign generational player, like what the Angels did, right, with Trout and whatnot. I get it when it came to Devers and Bogarts, like you didn't want to pay both of them, but at the same time, it's like if they would have signed Mookie to a 300, which there were conversations that they offer him 300 million. He said that never happened. If you would have signed, he would have given you a discount. Number one. Number two, if you would have signed him in 2019 to a 300 whatever $1 million contract, like right now it would have been an even better deal, right? Like looking at inflation.
Saying, what a signing! What a signing!
He's only getting paid $30 million a year. Wait, what? You know what I mean? So they missed out big time, and obviously that there's a reason why Boston hasn't been the same, right? They did sweep the Yankees, and kind of eliminated the Yankees basically from any race that they would have been. They swept them a couple of weekends ago, but they're still not good enough to compete at the. With the Dodgers, they went 1-3 against them, kind of like what you expect.
I was just gonna say expected,
yeah. Cool moment. It's always kind of cool to see those players kind of leave and come back, and he cared too. Like he never wanted to leave. It meant something to him. So, I don't know. I thought it was a cool little moment there. And Mookie's a right-handed hitter, so you want to just get on.
Go ahead. I love that.
That was a good one too. My goodness.
Yeah, well, you're firing. Power's back on, baby.
So we talked about at the beginning of the podcast how Miguel Cabrera is playing his final year. Officially retiring at the end of the year. Baseball legend. And there was a little kind of like a cool moment between two veteran guys, right? Verlander's not yet retiring because he's getting paid like $45 million next year. Why would you retire? Unless you're Strasburg.
Unless you're...
I beat you to it. But, there was a cool moment. Miggy was coming up to the plate, getting a standing ovation like he's going to get for the rest of the year. Verlander stepped away. They kind of tip of the cap and to each other. And it got me thinking, Miggy's one of the greatest hitters of all time, definitely of his generation. Right-handed hitters for sure.
Right-handed, kind of what we're focused on.
So it got me thinking, start bench cut, 3 hitters. We got Albert Pujols, Miggy, and Manny Ramirez. And it's insane what these guys have done. I don't know. Do you want to start this off? Like, I know you said for sure we're not, it's not the same, but yeah.
No, yeah, so it's not. So I want to say first, just the Miggy thing. That was a moment, and I don't know why it got me a little bit. Like, Miggy looked old, and I don't even mean that in a bad way. Like, Miggy looked old, and it had me thinking back on, like, his career. I think we remember, and because we've talked about this, in the World Series when Clemens threw up and in on him, and next pitch or a couple pitches later, I don't remember exactly, he goes opposite field home run. He was like 21 years old, baby face, skinny kid. And it's like, we've been baseball fans for, look at it. We've been baseball fans for a long time. And we saw his entire career. So it definitely was a cool moment. As far as start bench cut,
okay, I do have it here.
Okay, hold on. Pull it up. This was a sick moment. World Series.
20-year-old Miggy. You can see 20-year-old
Miggy.
Jerseys.
God.
There's the pitch high and inside.
He stared out.
And we're talking Clemens still with some left in the tank.
Yes, in the World Series.
In the World Series, 70,000 people watching. It was close.
Totally intentional. Not to hit him, but to brush him back.
There's another pitch that he swung and missed. Clemens came back. That nasty splitter swung and missed. And Clemens at this point, he's probably thinking, that's why I threw it inside. Because now he has no idea what's coming.
Right? We're like, look at the old vet with the tricks.
And he's just fighting. You see him fighting. Foul it off until this happens.
Everyone.
Oh my God. Look at that stadium.
Big ballpark. Big ballpark.
Big moment. Sick. And look at that smirk like, I just did that off of Roger Clemens. That's insane. Insane moment.
That's crazy.
Go check it out on YouTube if you haven't seen it. Go check it out because it's a cool moment. The crowd was going nuts. It's the whole thing. But
if you get the sound on there and everything, it's insane.
Good to go down memory lane there.
For me, the greatest. He's almost a little bit undervalued. Almost. It's hard to say any of these three
he
are undervalued.
Or the one that you're starting?
No. The one I'm going to start. Are we just going bat?
So here's the thing. I think
I'm so tore up about this.
So let's not talk about career itself because
there's variables.
Yeah, World Series, it's a team sport. Let's talk about maybe. And what I did was I got a 10-year span from all three guys. And this is what I came up with, the main numbers, right? On average, Miggy, 323 batting average, 34 home runs, 119 RBIs, 968 OPS in a 10-year span, kind of like the best 10 years of his career.
Insane.
Manny, 318 batting average, 38 home runs, 122 RBIs, 1.022 OPS. And Albert Pujols, 328 batting average, 41 home runs, 121, and 1.037 OPS. They're all great.
You're splitting hairs at this point.
Yeah. You are. So we're not talking about career necessarily because I think that's where Albert kind of like 700 home runs and that's what it separates it. But
we're just talking prime for prime. Who was the best hitter, or I'll go even who I liked. It was Manny. For me, it's Manny. I'm starting Manny. I feel like Manny was iconic, absolutely iconic. He played that role in ending the drought or reverse ending the curse with the Red Sox.
You're doing that. You're playing dirty.
These things matter.
Wow. Okay.
Completely iconic. He never won an MVP. Never even got second in MVP. Now, he was like top 5 all the time. That's why I said almost a little bit undervalued in some crazy way. He will not be undervalued by me. He's number 1 for me. I love Manny. I think Manny just understood hitting. They all did, obviously. I mean, I guess I'll keep saying that. But there's just something. I love this swing. He had the sweetest swing, and he was just an absolute icon. For me, Manny's number 1. And I've said that for a long time. There's some bias there, I'm sure. I love Manny Ramirez from the right side.
I go Pujols as number 1, and just even prime, right? Yeah. Obviously, career itself, better career overall. Rookie of the year, multiple MVPs, multiple championships. But if you look like at the best season, right, that he had, it's tough to pick, right? So that's number 1 right there.
That's why I didn't even want to go into the numbers, but I guess we have to.
But probably one of the best seasons for Albert Pujols was 2003, where he hit 359. He won a batting title, 43 home runs, 124 RBIs, 1.106 OPS. He led the league in run scores, hits, doubles, obviously total bases and batting average. So I think that's where he separates himself from the others. I mean, not saying that a 351 batting average, 38 home runs, 122 for Manny was bad.
Right. That's the year that I was looking at.
Which is probably his best.
You just took it. Yeah.
Yeah. But, it's a little bit better there, I think for Pujols. When I look at Miggy, it's so tough because I think Miggy itself, as far as the average and the professional hitter, I think professional hitter itself, I think Miggy is the best one. As far as like bat to ball, he could go. I mean, they could all go.
We keep saying that, right? Yeah, because you want to make a point for one, and you're like, they all did that.
It just felt like the on base side of things was Miggy better. Like he just 420, 440, 440 for a long period of time. I'm still going Pujols. I'm starting Pujols. Just because what he did was insane.
I almost agree with you. Like, I think I might agree with you, and I still just put Manny first. Like, I want to make it aware
I'm a
that
Red Sox
I'm
fan.
not blind to the stats.
So
I just
yeah,
to
no,
me,
yeah,
because
yeah,
this
yeah.
is the pure
Like
baseball fan
yeah,
size.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I just there was something about him.
Now,
There was something
I
about
mean,
him.
I was an Indians fan when now Guardians Indians when Alomar was there. That was Manny. You know
Yeah,
that
young
that team
Manny.
was stacked. The best team to never win a World Series. Then
Yes.
I was obviously Alomar left or whatever, but I always followed the Red Sox. Manny was there. You mentioned the drought. Um, for bench and cut is very close for me. I'll go Manny. I'll bench Manny. Um, the only thing I think with Manny is the steroid parts kind of hurt him too, right?
Who
And
else was on steroids?
well, Pujols was on steroid, never confirmed, no evidence. There's more evidence for Manny. He actually tested positive, and not for Miggy. And I think that's where Manny kind of like hurt himself a little bit as well. Not everybody liked his antics. You mentioned like he never
Yeah.
really finished MVP or whatever. So he was kind of like extra. He was out there. He's one of those players where not everybody liked, right?
Yeah.
A
Definitely.
little bit easier to hate. Nobody hates Pujols, I don't think.
No.
You know,
No.
Miggy, I don't think anybody hates Miggy either. So you know what? Just because of that, Manny's gonna be cut. I'll bench Miggy. Clean, clean career. Started at 20.
I don't like that, Yayo. I don't like that. You're not an anti-steroid guy. You're not. You're not.
But
Who's the best
it's a
hitter of all time?
tiebreaker. It's
Who's
a
the best hitter of
tiebreaker.
all time?
I'm just saying tiebreaker here with this three.
Forget this. Who's the best hitter of
Yeah,
all
but
time?
that he's so much better than all this. It's not even close though. So when we're splitting
Barry
hairs.
Bonds, and he was roided to the gills.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen the documentary of the Hall
I
of
did.
Shame.
The Balco?
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Confirmed. If you still doubted that he used steroids, confirmed. I'm just trying to find a tiebreaker or something to like, you know, and I think
it's fair. This is wild. Yeah,
it's
this
not.
is
I
a
mean,
tough one.
so when we look at Miggy and Manny in that 10-year span, Manny was the better power hitter, a little bit more home runs, maybe a little bit more
Yeah.
RBIs. I think he did play with better talent around him as well, so I think that helps
Yeah.
as far as the RBIs and whatnot. Better OPS, but Miggy was the higher average guy, more kind of like I don't know. It's whatever.
It's your professional hitter. Like you said, that's just the feeling you get.
I just remember watching at bats from Miggy, and not only the one that we just watched, but I remember how hard it was to get him out. Like
Yeah.
he was like, I feel like he would see the pitch come in slow motion, and it was weird. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, again, splitting hairs. I got Manny first, so I'd go Pujols second.
Yeah.
Because absolute animal. And Miggy third. I think going to like accomplishments too, that's my tiebreaker. Like in the game, who's really accomplished everything they want to accomplish.
So you didn't want to use, hold up, you didn't want to use accomplishment for the first place, but for second and third, we're bringing accomplishment out.
Yeah,
Okay.
This is my start bench cut. I'm the manager. I choose who starts bench cut.
It's kind of weird.
Manny, yeah, so that's my order. Manny, Pujols, Miggy, but
Now,
I mean, just legends. Like I almost get a little sad looking back at it. Like this is
because we
crazy.
saw everyone's all of them's basically their entire career. Maybe we didn't see as much of Manny at the beginning of his career. We didn't see a lot of
all of Miggy's.
but we saw all of Miggy's and Pujols, right?
Yeah.
So maybe the first few years of Manny, I think that's where, but it's still that's why it feels like man we've seen a lot of them, and that's where it kind of like I don't know it kind of hits home like oh my god we're old.
Whoa, this got dark. Now I'm even sadder. I'd like to say something about Manny. This is not related to what we're saying. Manny was not as bad of an outfielder as he's made out to be. You were a Red Sox fan, so he led the league in assists one year, 17 outfield assists.
Look at you.
He had another year with 19. He had 120 outfield assists in his career. He
had an arm.
Ball.
He had an arm.
Yeah, and not even the strongest arm, but really, really accurate arm, which I don't remember how I saw that. I think it was way back in the World Series when they were, because he threw someone out in that World Series too against the Cardinals. But yeah, that's a tough one. This was a really tough one.
Looking at the baseball reference page for Albert Pujols, and we talked about steroids. when he went to LA, he was 32, right? The Cardinals knew that eventually he was going to go down. There's rumors that Pujols is not his real age, that he's 2 or 3 years older. So if he was 32, he was technically 35 when he was going to LA.
Right.
His first 5 years in LA were okay. 30 home runs, 17, 28, 40, 31. When he hit that 31 home runs, he was 36 years old. Maybe some people say 40. After that, it went downhill with 23, 19, 23, plantar fasciitis, all this stuff. He started gaining weight.
Yeah.
If he would have done steroids like Barry did,
Yeah.
goodbye,
really
800 home
really
runs.
Committed. Yeah.
800 plus home runs. We would be talking about him, maybe about the greatest hitter of all time, because he did it also with the average as well. I think some of the Barry stats that come into place are because of the walks, right? Like he has so many intentional. The on-base percentage just raises everything else, right? Like the on-base percentage is gonna raise that OPS as well. And he got walked so many times, deservingly so. But it got me thinking, like, man, if he would have used steroids, maybe actually because Barry kept going off when he was 36, 37, 38.
Yes.
Nobody does it. Nobody has their career years at 37 and 38. Maybe one, not every year keep getting better. If Pujols would have kept getting better at that age, it's like, oh my God, he still has over 3,300 hits, 700 home runs, like insane.
Well, Barry in his late 30s, he had all that intelligence of a veteran, and then he was steroided, so he had the physical.
Of
but
a
those
25-year-old.
stories about Barry are insane. Like pitchers will say, like, if you made one mistake, it was a home run.
He would not miss,
and he wouldn't miss, and it was absolutely true.
And we talked about how we didn't see a whole lot. I was born 87. We didn't see a whole lot of Manny's first few years. I saw quite a bit, but not. I saw more of Miggy right at the beginning of the career, and Barry Bonds is one that we didn't really see much in Pittsburgh, or at least
we saw the end.
We saw the end. We saw his greatness,
which was incredible.
Yeah, we saw the greatness. But he's one of those things that they're like, well, it would have been nice to see him in Pittsburgh. It's crazy. I don't know if you've seen that clip of Barry Bonds talking to Mark McGwire and I can't remember who else, and he was like, "Oh my God, you guys are big," and everyone's like, "This is the moment he knew." That's when he knew he had to like
that. That is, and it's not to delve into a whole other conversation, but steroids was, and the documentary, I think it's on Netflix, right? The Balco one.
Yeah.
The who was the Balco guy? Victor Conti. Victor Conti. He said it. He was like, that was the level playing field. And he was talking about everything. He was talking about track and field and all that. He's like, being on steroid was the level playing field. And it's not to make excuses, but I do believe that to be true. Yeah. I do. They were all on steroids.
He just had the best scientists behind his steroid dosage and calendar thing. Who he was. I mean, it was a good documentary. Go check it out on Netflix. Hall of Shame. But that will do it for episode 26, the Wild Wild West and the greatest right-handed hitters of all time. Anything you want to add? You looking forward to or anything?
I am looking forward to something. You always have a big series lined up, and I finally do.
You finally do?
I've been waiting for the Cleveland Guardians to make a run. I still don't think they will.
Okay.
Hang on.
You're about to ruin somebody's day and season. Go ahead.
Yeah. If you're a Cleveland Guardians fan, tune out. They've got a 3-game series coming up against the Twins.
Make or break?
If they're ever going to make a run, this is it. You've been expecting it too. And you've maybe lost faith. Now it doesn't seem like they will. But like all the way till the All-Star break, right? We thought they're going to make a run here. Maybe they do. Maybe they do. We haven't seen as much divisional play this year because of the different schedules. This is like an old-fashioned try and hunt the team down in front of you series. Cleveland wants a sweep. They need a sweep. And so I'm going to keep my eye on it. I think it'll be interesting.
Boston is playing Houston. They're in the wild card race. Chris Sale in Fenway. I'm just saying.
See? I know you thinking now.
I'm just saying. All right. That will do it. I hope you guys enjoyed the content. And if you do, like, share, comment, rate it, all that good stuff. And we will check you out on the next one.
Adios.